Hey guys, it's Trevy the Great with another picture battle report for you. This is a 3,500 point quote grand battle end quote between my Beastmen and my buddy John's Lizardmen. We decided that it was going to be like a friendly game rather than a knockdown drag out bash. So we took relatively fluffy lists. I took a list that was representative of what I thought a Beastmen army at that points level would look like. There's no, crazy underhanded trickery or things like that. No standard of discipline or banner of the beast or anything like that in my army. Um, Going over it real quick, I do have 2 units of 40 gores, a unit of 40 ungores, a big unit of 32 bestigores. They're my the elite guards of my Beast Lord, which I thought was kind of cool. And I do have a Beast Lord over there, along with a War Gore, a Gore Bull with the Battle Standard, a Doom Bull, a Great Bray Shaman with the Jagged Dagger, and 2 level 2 normal Bray Shamans, one of which has the Herdstone Shard. And then I have a unit of 8 Minotaurs with additional hand weapons. I figure it was going to be like a big rampaging horde of unruly beastmen rather than some of the other army lists that I run. My buddy John brought a really similar list for his Lizardmen. He had a big horde of Temple Guard, 30-something Temple Guard, with a Slann in there with a bunch of the crazy Slann abilities. He had like magic resistance and his extra power die and a bunch of cool stuff. He also had 2 hordes of 40 Saurus warriors with spears, very nasty units. They both had Scar veterans in them with various upgrades. And then they were backed up by an Old Blood on a Carnosaur, as well as a bunch of units of Skinks, a couple Salamanders, and a Stegodon. So here's how we deployed. We weren't, playing seriously at all, because, like I said, it was a fluffy game. So we were both deployed in big lines. I had my Bestigors and my General in the center. I had my Herdstone right there with its little cabal of Bray Shamans, and then I had all my Gores and Ungores on either side, and my Minotaurs are out there on my right flank, and then my BSB is right in the middle. So I won the role to go first, and I took first turn. Basically, it was the first turn of the game. Nothing exciting ever happens. So we both sort of moved up. We got a bunch of spells going. All of my wizards had Wissen's Wild Form, so I was casting that like mad because it's an awesome spell. He got some buffs on his Saurus. Made me think twice about charging them, but nothing actually cool happened. So turn 2, things started to heat up. We had some charges going off. My Minotaurs charged some Skinks in the flank there, and on the side anyway, and destroyed them all pretty handily. And then my Bestigors also charged a unit of Skinks and destroyed them, and overran into a unit of Salamanders. This is actually sort of midway through my opponent's turn 2. He charged in with his Carnosaur and a bunch of Saurus, one of his Saurus hordes, at my Gore horde over on the right there, and his Temple Guard charged my Bestigors. Sorry, as a note, sorry for all the unpainted models in my army. A lot of these, because we're basically taking almost everything we had out for this game because it was so large, that a lot of these models are ones that I sort of accumulated that I don't really use a lot. So I have about 20 or 30 Gore sitting around that I don't generally use, and a bunch of Minotaurs and things, which is where these come from. So unfortunately, back in my turn 3, my opponent was successful in taking out that unit of Gores that also had my level 4 in it, and he ran it all down, which was unfortunate because that was a pretty big chunk of points. And he got a bunch of buff spells off on his Temple Guard because my level 4 was dead. So that they started grinding down my Bestigors pretty easily. So I'd lost almost that whole flank over there. The Minotaurs were out and just flapping in the wind, not really doing anything. So I was sort of worried about the game almost at this point, because those Saurus could then swing around and just mop me up So in response, I tried to get some points back and charge on his Temple Guard with the rest of my Gores. I figured that because I had so many more bodies, I at least could do some wounds and get steadfast on them. Unfortunately, his Slan had taken Lore of Life and sorry, Light, Lore of Light with a T, as in Trevy. And he had a bunch of really powerful buffs on that unit. He had Always Strikes First, as well as Initiative 10, Weapon Skill 10. So he was hitting on threes and re-rolling misses, which was insane. And he was cutting down Gores like there was no tomorrow. So unfortunately, the extra bodies helped for a turn, but it didn't really pay off in the end for those Gores. In response to that, in my opponent's turn, he put his Stegodon there into my Gores and was able to do an insane amount of wounds with impact hits and things. He rolled pretty well there, and my Gores not really being able to do a heck of a lot against him because his Temple Guard were up in skill 10 and things. I lost combat by quite a bit. The Gores turned around and ran away and were run down by the Stegodon. However, the Bestigors had killed enough models not to actually be in contact anymore, and we weren't sure how to resolve this, so we figured that it was easy just to say that the Bestigors would make a break test as well, because they did lose the combat, which they passed pretty handily, and they stayed put as the Saurus and the Stegodon overran and pursued the Gore unit. So things ostensibly were looking pretty bad for me at this point. I lost both of my Gore units, and my Minotaurs were well below half strength. The only unit that I had untouched at this point was my Ungors. My Minotaurs had taken a couple wounds, but they were sort of out in the middle of nowhere. They did, as you can see in this picture, they did end up turning around and are ready to charge those Saurus. My opponent did put a Skink Priest in the way to try to slow them down. Fortunately, though, he was too far away to stop me enough, and I was able to get my wheel around the priest and still hit the Saurus, which was good. But at this point, it looks like he's almost going to wrap up my flank because he's lost almost nothing, and I've lost at least 1,000 points worth of infantry. So, like I said, in my next turn, this was, I think, turn 4 or 5, so it was getting towards the end of the game. The Minotaurs were able to charge and get around that Skink Priest that was trying to stop them up there and charge the Saurus in the front, and the Ungors were in perfect rank to charge, in perfect arc to charge the Saurus in the flank. My BSB garrisoned that tower and stood up heroically in the top, not for any tactical reason, but just because it looked really cool. And because we were playing a friendly game, that didn't really matter that much. So fortunately, the Minotaurs and the Ungors swung around to save the day. I got Wisson's Wild Form off on the Ungors, thankfully, from one of my 2 casters who were hanging around that herdstone there. And they were able to do something like 25 wounds to the Saurus and just break them easily, and the Ungors ran them down. So this is sort of the aftermath of that. The Minotaurs have kept going. They tried to get the Carnosaur in the back there, tried to charge them, but ended up failing its charge and just moving up a little bit. The Ungors swung around so that they were facing the Slan and the Stegodon there. The Slan and the Slan only had 1 Temple Guard with a standard left, as well as a Scar Veteran Battle Standard Bearer, and they ended up with the Stegodon charging the Bestigors there, the couple remaining Bestigors. The Beast Lord charged the Scar Veteran and killed him, and then the Bestigors ended up killing the Temple Guard, so the whole Temple Guard unit was wiped out. However, the Stegodon's impact hits and attacks wiped the rest of the Bestigor unit out, leaving just the Beast Lord. So the Beast Lord actually fled through the Ungors. They all passed their panic checks, but he fled through the Ungors, ended up passing his rally check next turn. So even though that was unfortunate that I lost the Bestigors, it was pretty good that the Beast Lord actually ended up getting out of harm's way. What happened there was the Stegodon had overrun, so the Minotaurs and the Ungors charged into it, ended up killing it outright. The Slan had the ethereal power, so that he could only be hurt by magical attacks, and unfortunately my Beast Lord was the only guy in there with a magic weapon. The Battle Center Bearer had a hand weapon, I think, and the Doom Bowl over there had just a great weapon. So I didn't end up charging him. He just he sort of hung around. So I didn't get points for him. Although I pulled victory out of the jaws of defeat, as they say. Um, I did end up getting around, I think, 2,000 victory points for killing the unit of Saurus, the unit of Temple Guard, and all the little units that I wiped out, as well as the characters and things in those. Where he got around 1,500 points, I think, for the two units of Gores, the level 4 Wizard and the Bestigors. So it was a pretty close game considering the size, but ended up as a win, sort of a minor win for me, which I was pretty happy about considering that I was pretty set to lose the game for a while there. So there's that. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know how many more big games like this I'll be playing. This one did take quite a while. It was about a 4-hour game, and that was even with us almost rushing through at the end, which is probably why the board is so messy. But there it is. Hope you enjoyed. This is Trevy the Great out. Ta-da!